The Sixth Amendment guarantees the right of criminal defendants to a speedy public trial, the right to a lawyer, the right to an impartial jury, the right to know who your accusers are, and the right to know the nature of the charges and evidence against you. The Sixth Amendment was passed because the Anti-Federalists were worried that if they were to get arrested, they would be held without a trial. Before the Sixth Amendment was passed, the Supreme Court laid down a four-part balancing test to determine if the speedy trial rights had been violated. The Supreme Court also ruled that the right to a public trial is not absolute. If the Sixth Amendment wasn't passed, trials would be unfair. People could be imprisoned for invalid reasoning, and there would be bias of the jury. The 17th Amendment states that the U.S. Senate is composed of 2 senators from each state, which is elected by the public. Each senator has a 6-year term and 1 vote. If a senator leaves office, the governor may appoint someone as long as the state approves. This system was enacted to make sure that every state had an equal amount of representatives in this important lawmaking body. Prior to the 17th Amendment, the senators were elected by the state legislature. The federal government did not support the system because it was not democratic, so the 17th Amendment was enforced. The Oregon House of Representatives, choosing not to swear the oath of office in 1897, delayed the passing of the legislation. There was also tension and disagreement between the states and federal government. If the Senate wasn't directly elected by voters, it would be more controlled by the Republicans. The state government would no longer have a voice in the federal government and budgeting process. The 18th Amendment established the prohibition of alcoholic beverages in the U.S. by declaring the production, transport, and sale of alcohol illegal. The amendment took effect in 1919 and was a huge failure. The 18th Amendment was the only amendment to be repealed but from the Constitution. The 21st Amendment repealed the 18th in 1933. The 18th Amendment was passed because housewives were upset with their husbands for coming home drunk and using violent actions. The 18th Amendment was difficult to pass because people were not complying with the restrictions. People started creating speakeasy, and there was an increase in crime. The 18th Amendment is no longer in effect, so it would not affect our lives today. Sources.